And welcome back, everybody. Jay Adams alongside Luke Thomas, Terry Cohens, and Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis. Phil Davis, largely an unknown with the exception of his record and the exception of his background. We'll talk about that in a second, but we've seen this guy, T-Rex Cohens, came out and had a really big fight, his first fight for UWC, knocking out Conan Dunn in Jacksonville, Florida, and then he was a victim of Antoine Britt. So Terry Cohens knows that this is his opportunity to get back on the winning track, get back onto UWC, and you can tell by looking at the intensity on T-Rex's face how important he knows this fight is.
Well, look, let's be honest, he's got his work cut out for him. He's facing a guy who is a much better athlete, an unbelievably better wrestler, and look, Lloyd Irvin has said that Phil Davis actually does enjoy working the guard, has usable sweeps from the bottom, likes to pass on top. So even if somehow Cohens gets on top and tries to pass, it's not like it's going to be some sort of walk in the park. Now, Cohens does have some of the submission ability. He has a knockout over Conan Dunn, but he's not a knockout guy. That was a little bit served up to him on a silver platter. He's much more the kind of guy who's going to work off of his back, work for Kimuras, work for triangles, but Phil Davis probably has unbelievable base. Still a lot of questions about Phil Davis too, but of these two guys, the one who has the much tougher road to hoe here is definitely Terry Cohens.
5-2, fighting out of Palatka, Florida. CC Corey Jiu-Jitsu. CC Corey and Mr. Smiley, his principal trainers out there. They'll be cornered by Gary Clusty this evening. Says the thing that his opponent should most fear, my ninja skills.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. What he needs to work on is his defensive wrestling. I think that's much more the issue here. I saw him working some cage turns in the corner, getting his back off the fence. That's smart stuff. Maybe he's had the right kind of game plan and camp for this particular opponent.
What's his favorite closing technique, Jay? I love to roll my opponent's eyes and make them blow snot bubbles. Okay.
I'll leave that one alone.
Maybe I should have too.
Also, he had a better cut this time than he did against Antoine Britt. He looked really energetic and healthy and had a very good attitude at the weigh-ins.
And this is the gentleman who really has his work cut out for four-time All-American, Phil Mr. Wonderful Davis, fighting out of State College, Lionheart.
Yeah, a four-time All-American wrestler, Division I national champion his senior year at 197 pounds from Penn State. He is a sick, sick athlete. And on top of that, has a lot of other qualities that make you want to go, Apparently he hits like a ton of bricks. He can do the splits. He's so flexible. And an athlete of this caliber can learn other athletic he can learn other sports a little bit more easily. Athletic endeavors aren't as difficult for him, even though he may have been a wrestler for the vast majority of his young life.
This is someone that was giving Marcelo Ferran fits in trying to matchmake, trying to get just someone to step up and fight the guy.
Why would you fight this guy? If you're only 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 in your career, this is a very difficult fight for you against a guy who's much more celebrated, and because he's so celebrated, he's going to attract other good coaches, other good teammates who are going to want to learn from him as well. Apparently in live sparring, the takedown defense work that Team Lloyd Irvin got this camp was invaluable because of Phil Davis.
Mr. Wonderful getting the Vaseline applied to his face from Team Lloyd Irvin. And 6 feet tall, 205, and he's a youngster as a light heavyweight, 24 years old. He's very well mixed on his feet, very well disciplined on the ground as well, and a true mixed martial artist transition being employed from this former wrestler. This is a guy you were talking about. You were saying this is someone to really keep our eye on.
Yeah, a sick wrestler and doing the right things, getting with the right camps to slowly build his skill set, which is the key here. Don't look for him to come out and start kickboxing like Albert Kraus. Look for him to make sure he sets up takedowns with his strikes, and if he gets in trouble, he gets back to the basics, working on top, working takedowns, and using his wrestling to control where the fight takes place.
You've spent quite a bit of time with Master Lloyd Irvin as a fighter yourself. Is that the strength that Master Lloyd Irvin brings to his students?
Well, look, since I haven't actually formally competed, I wouldn't want to take that title. But Master Lloyd, Master, by the way, just means professor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He runs a big camp, but what he really specializes in is Jiu-Jitsu. It's, in my view, the only camp in the Washington, D.C. area that can actually produce a world-class guy.
Phil Davis on the left, Terry Cohens on the right. Let's see if we see any difference here on paper. Nothing discernible. Other than the 2-0 record of Phil Davis, does not have as much experience in the cage as Terry Cohens. We'll see if that is a factor in any way whatsoever in this fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, now for your next fight of the evening. 3 rounds in the UWC light heavyweight division. Introducing first, standing to my right, fighting out of the blue corner. This fighter has a background in wrestling and holds a record of 2 wins and no losses. He weighed in at 205 pounds and stands 6 feet 1 inches tall. Fighting out of State College, Pennsylvania, Mr. Wonderful, Phil Davis. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, is a freestyle fighter. He holds a professional record of 5 wins and 2 losses. He weighed in at 205 pounds and stands 5 feet 11 inches tall. Fighting out of Palatka, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, Terry Cohens. And when the action begins, your referee, Mr. Mario Yamasaki. This fight is sponsored by Punishment. Let the punishment begin.
Well, if physiques are the determinant factor, Mr. Wonderful almost looked like a comic book character, and I mean that in the best sense possible. That kind of a waist and that kind of a lat spread is almost impossible for a human to have.
You can take flight with that. Now again, this is going to be about look for Phil Davis, how he closes the distance.
Davis in the blue trunks, T-Rex Cohens in the black.
Already that left hand is a little low for my tastes.
T-Rex does have knockout power.
But again, Phil is going to have, if he sets up his strikes properly, which he didn't there, he's going to have really excellent time. You can see him throwing the 1-2 here.
T-Rex wanted nothing to do with Davis's ground.
Terry Cohens stalking, standing tall in the pocket, lands a big right hand over the top. He's going to get taken down here and probably get his guard passed. And immediately, Phil Davis moves to mount off of an underhook.
Looks like he might try to set up that arm.
It looks like he might be spinning for an arm bar, but I doubt he'd go for it without softening him up first, but you see him doing these overhand rights. Now he's looking for a very high mount. Phil Davis is going to have a sick base. If you think you could just roll out of it with that right hand underhook that Terry Cohens has, you wrong. Cohens has got to move his feet to the 1 o'clock position and then explode instead of just sort of walking circularly. A guy like this, and you see Davis pulling up to the back of the head, Davis's base is going to be really hard to adjust even in these bad sort of awkward positions. And of course you see now Davis grapevining Cohens' legs, holding them in position, keeping his hips pressed against Cohens' hips to keep him down, working an Americana but let it go. Nasty ground and pound. And this is, if you're Terry Cohens, you need to be moving your hips constantly, side to side, shrimping them out, trying to get him off you so he flares out like that. Now, good job by Davis of flaring out to the right side and keeping that right hip pinned to the ground.
Oh, nasty right elbow.
Beautiful right hand.
Davis very composed, taking his time, not getting too excited.
Which is exactly what he needs to be doing, working for the pass on the right side, although Terry Cohen's trying to do the lockdown, which is it hurts, but it isn't going to stop anybody, but prevents you from passing it again. Davis back to mount, and a high mount too. You see how he's sucked up under the armpits here. Davis needs to explode and finish him off here. Cohens is kind of doing the right thing, but he's got to explode his hips out from underneath. Laying on your back will do nothing.
Brutal ground.
Now he might switch to that right arm of Cohens for that arm bar.
Plenty of time for Phil Davis to work this top position. This is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds.
And Cohens recaptures half guard, but he could be kicked out of that. Davis content to take his time. I know folks probably want a more aggressive, violent finish, but Davis is really making sure this experience is valuable to him too. He needs to learn what it's like against a live opponent in a big pressure situation. This is only his second or third fight, I believe. This is what instead of rushing the fight and making things happen by getting careless and getting out of position, he's working his strengths, keeping his base, keeping the passing game up, and using strikes, incorporating them throughout the course of this now 3 minutes we've been into this fight.
Yeah, at some point I hope we can talk about that in general, the Anderson Silva fight, and people getting on Anderson Silva, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's beating the best guys in the world, and he's keeping longevity in his future.
And you see him right in the corner there with Master Lloyd Irvin, two-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, good job by Cohens of trying to get back to his knees, but all that did was open up position for Davis. By the way, if this were a gi tournament, he'd be asleep by now. That's a perfect position for a lapel choke. Davis, you see, got a wide base there. He can probably get away with that because he's got such an incredible base, but that isn't necessarily the best position he wants to be in. It gives position Cohens to turn to turn into Davis, and again, he's mounted. This is going to be a 10-8 round, most likely. At least it should be.
If Cohens survives it, 55 seconds to go in this round, and he is getting a beat down.
Man, just a slow burn of punishment over the course of the round.
And look at that base.
And again, wow, like he's able to hold his knee. Most guys aren't able to hold their knees there because it creates a backdoor escape. Davis is able to use his position because he's got such nasty base. And if that's it.
That's it.
Mario Yamasaki shooting up. Good call.
Yeah, great call by Mario Yamasaki, one of the best in the business, and he had seen enough. Even though there was not much time left on the clock, it's just no sense in having further damage, further punishment. Here's a replay, Luke.
Yeah, you see him actually kind of high. Doesn't have his base, again, as low as most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners or BJJ players have. He puts the final hook in there, but because he's such an adept and naturally, wrestling, pardon me, comes natural to him, he's able to keep his balance in such really weird positions. That's a lifetime of really elite wrestling you're seeing right there.
There was never 1 second in this entire fight that this gentleman right here, Mr. Wonderful, Phil Davis, was in any even remote danger. He had control of T-Rex Cohens from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight. And what a display of ground and pound and just dominance from the top.
He did take the big right hand, but used it as an opportunity to get Cohens to commit and then worked off a double leg from there.
Right, he did get that right in, and that was the one thing that T-Rex Cohens knew that he had to gamble on. He knew he had to get that right free. It's sort of like he's got about a 5% chance to win the fight. You might as well, at that stage, go for that odds.
Think about it, Cohens is a jiu-jitsu player, at least if you look at his win record and what he likes to do, and yet he got outpassed, and he got, basically he could do nothing in the mount, and so you see in Phil Davis a lot of upside if he's, look, Terry Cohens isn't Marcelo Garcia, but for a guy this new to MMA to be able to pass guard like that continuously and work from mount in very weird and new unorthodox positions says a lot about what this kid is capable of doing.
3-0, Mr. Wonderful. I'm going to go say hello. Back in a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee, Mario Yamasaki, has put a stop to this fight. 4 minutes, 29 seconds of the first round. Your winner, by the way of strikes, Mr. Wonderful, Phil Davis.
Phil Davis, what a display of ground and pound. That was absolutely nasty. Your bases has to be one of the best bases we've ever seen. The flexibility and that just ability to stay on top and stay in that dominant position.
I appreciate all the kind words. I don't know about the best ever. I don't know exactly what you said, but like I said,
pretty close. That was very, very nice display. Let's take a look at the Get Maxed instant replay.
Yep.
You're really putting it on him here, my friend.
I did what I could. He's tough, and he wasn't going to give me anything easy, so.
All right, we're going to take a look at the finish here. Mario Yamasaki had seen enough. You feel like that was about time that that one was ended?
You know, I'm not a good judge of what's time or, you know, whether he was done or not. You know, he had a lot of fight left in him. He's a tough guy. But, I mean, I got to go with what the refs say, you know. He said it's over, it's over.
Phil Davis, you're undefeated. You're 3-0, four-time All-American Division I wrestler. You're going to stick with UWC, and what can we look forward to in the future for you?
Yeah, for sure I'm going to stick with UWC. And, you know, hopefully another TKO, knockout, you know.
Do you have anyone that you would like Marcelo Fran to set you up with in the next match?
Not really. Whatever, you know. Whoever, you know.
All right. You want to shout out to any sponsors?
Oh, yeah. I want to say thanks to
Real quickly.
Clinch Gear. Oh, God. Clinch Gear, My House, Dirty Dog Hauling, and I think that's it. Lionheart Gym.
Dirty Dog Hauling. All right, one more time for Phil, Mr.